The room is quiet, but not empty. Silence has a weight, and in that silence, words wait like arrows drawn back against the bowstring. Words that seem ordinary on the surface, but carry the gravity of something older than memory, something that moves through the psyche like a river through stone. For Jung knew it well. The soul does not fall in love with beauty alone, nor with charm, nor even with fleeting sparks of desire. It falls when words touch archetypes buried deep beneath the conscious mind. A sentence, spoken with breath and intention, can open a chamber in the male heart that he did not even know was locked. And yet, these sentences are not spells in the shallow sense. They are not tricks or manipulations. They are keys forged from feminine essence, sharpened through shadow work, polished by self-worth. They pierce not the ego, but the anima that stirs beneath it, the part of him that longs not for conquest, but for completion. You must understand, every man lives with his masks. The mask of the achiever, the mask of the strong, the mask of the untouchable. But there are sentences that fracture the mask, sentences that invite a projection of the eternal feminine, not as illusion, but as mirror. And when he hears them, he does not only hear you, he hears the part of himself he has been running from. Imagine it. His armor clinks when he laughs too loudly, when he avoids silence, when he turns every question into deflection. And then, a sentence is spoken, one he cannot deflect. A sentence that bends time, that sinks past the clever words, past the rehearsed gestures, into that raw space where the boy still waits to be seen, and the man aches to be chosen. The power of these sentences lies not in their sound, but in the woman who carries them. If they are spoken from emptiness, they fall dead. If they are spoken from desperation, they reek of hunger and push him away. But when they rise from the depths of a woman who has walked her shadows, who knows her own worth not as performance, but as truth, they strike with a beauty he cannot resist. He will not even know why his breath catches. He will not even know why the ground feels less steady. He only knows that something in her words disarmed him, undressed without touch, and left him longing for more. It is here in this space that love is not manufactured but awakened. Here, where Jung's anima meets flesh, where stoic restraint trembles, where trauma-born walls crack, where longing finally finds its language. And you, if you dare to speak them with the steadiness of a woman who knows she is the mirror of eternity, you will see him shift. You will see his gaze linger too long. You will see the masculine, so sure of itself in the daylight, surrender in the night to the gravity of words that pull at his soul. For these sentences are not tricks to make him love you. They are reminders of truths he had forgotten, truths buried beneath ambition, beneath duty, beneath the armor of the rational mind. And when you speak them, you do not pull him toward you. You awaken him to himself. And in awakening to himself, he cannot help but fall into you. The first sentence does not belong to the lips, but to the soul. It emerges not as a rehearsed line, but as a truth whispered through centuries of archetypal memory. It is a sentence that says, I see you, not the you of his polished mask, not the man who flexes his strength in public or speaks in rehearsed patterns to keep himself untouchable, but the raw figure beneath, the child who once longed to be held, the wanderer who never found home, the warrior who hides his scars in silence. When a woman says, I see you, not as performance, not as flattery, but as revelation, it pierces through the armor he has spent years constructing. For Jung reminded us that the masculine ego thrives on projection, on showing the world an image rather than reality. But when the anima, the feminine essence, mirrors back his hidden self, something ancient stirs. It is dangerous, this recognition, because to be seen is to be stripped. To be seen is to surrender control. And yet, every man longs for more than he will ever admit, for he has been taught to conquer, not to reveal. He has been trained to achieve, not to be known. His achievements shine in daylight, but his soul starves in the night. You must understand, when you whisper, I see you, it is not about his beauty, his accomplishments, or his crafted charm. It is about naming the humanity that he hides. It is about standing before his defenses and refusing to mistake the mask for the man. And here lies the paradox. Men fall not because they are admired, but because they are recognized. Desire is born not from adoration, but from the silence of someone who touches what no one else dared to touch. But beware, if spoken without depth, the sentence falls flat. If said by a woman who does not see herself, who has not faced her own shadows, it becomes hollow and forgettable. For he knows instinctively when recognition is authentic and when it is counterfeit. The woman who truly says, I see you, does not chase him. She does not beg for his validation. She does not cling to the illusion of his power. Instead, she looks into his silence and acknowledges the trembling parts he thought would forever remain unseen. And, in that moment, something shifts. His defenses soften, though he does not want them to. His heartbeat grows louder, though he tries to disguise it. The masculine, so trained to resist vulnerability, begins to crave it, because to be seen without judgment is to be chosen without condition. And that is what every man, beneath his stoicism, beneath his bravado, beneath his shadow, desires most. The second sentence does not soothe him. It unsettles him. It is not recognition, but invitation. It says without hesitation, I trust you. At first glance, it seems simple, almost ordinary. But to the masculine heart, fractured by doubt and sharpened by the constant pressure to prove himself, these words land like thunder. For he is taught to be strong, yet rarely trusted. He is told to lead, but rarely followed. He builds his walls not only to protect himself, but because deep down he does not believe anyone could truly surrender to him without fear. To tell a man, I trust you, is to hand him something sacred. It awakens the archetype of protector, the guardian, the king who shields rather than conquers. It draws from Jung's vision of the animus and anima. The masculine longs to be trusted, for trust validates his deepest instinct, that his presence carries weight, that his choices matter. But the sentence must not be spoken like a plea. It cannot be uttered from weakness or dependency. If a woman says, I trust you, while clinging desperately, while ignoring her own strength, it becomes manipulation, and he will sense it. The true power of this sentence lies in paradox. It must rise from the lips of a woman who trusts herself first, a woman rooted in her own essence, who has walked through shadow, who could survive without him, but chooses not to. Her trust then is not a begging for rescue, but a gift of surrender, and that gift ignites his fire. Suddenly, his restless energy finds a home. His ego, so hungry for recognition, finds nourishment in responsibility. He begins to shift from boyhood into manhood, from wander into anchor, because when a woman says, I trust you, she does not only speak to the man in front of her, she awakens the archetype within him that longs to rise. And notice what happens. He begins to lean in. He begins to want to prove himself not through conquest, but through devotion. For nothing bends a masculine more than the soft gravity of feminine trust. He will not say it out loud, but the effect is immediate. His voice steadies. His chest rises. He feels seen not for his victories, but for his ability to hold. In that moment, his hunger for conquest transforms into a hunger for connection. And you, if you dare to whisper, I trust you not from need but from power, you will feel the air shift. You will see the walls he built for decades soften, not because you broke them down, but because you invited him to open them himself. For trust is not weakness. It is not submission. It is the most intoxicating form of strength a woman can offer. And when spoken from truth, it becomes irresistible. The third sentence does not flatter him. It challenges him. It calls him into something larger than himself. And it is this, I believe in you. At first, it sounds similar to trust, but belief is different. Trust is surrender. Belief is prophecy. Trust says, I place my safety in your hands. Belief says, I see a greatness in you that even you have not yet claimed. A man's ego feeds on recognition, yes, but his soul, his true masculine essence, longs for something higher, a witness to his becoming. Carl Jung often wrote that we meet our unconscious through the eyes of another. For a man, the feminine becomes a mirror in which he glimpses his deeper self. When you tell a man, I believe in you, you are not praising what he has already done. You are naming the king within him before he has worn his crown. You are calling forward the protector, the builder, the dreamer, even when the world only sees the boy. This is why the sentence is dangerous, because it requires discernment. If you speak it to the wrong man, the man who has no intention of rising, it will fall flat, or worse, it will inflate his ego into arrogance. But if you speak it to the right man, the man wrestling with his shadows, the man striving yet uncertain, it will strike him like lightning. Suddenly, his failures no longer define him. His doubts no longer paralyze him. He begins to see himself through your eyes. And your eyes, if you're rooted in truth, become a vision of his destiny. This is not about rescuing him. Do not confuse belief with mothering. Belief is not doing the work for him. Belief is standing in your feminine power and declaring, I see your potential. I see who you are becoming. And I will not shrink from it. Few women dare to do this because it requires patience and power. But those who can awaken this archetype of the hero in a man will never be forgotten. For the masculine does not fall for beauty alone, nor for desire alone, but for the rare feminine presence who believes is becoming even when he doubts himself. And that belief becomes a spell. It makes him want to rise, not for glory, but for you. The fourth sentence is softer, quieter, almost a whisper. It is not about his power. It is not about his future. It is about his hidden wound. It is this, you don't have to be perfect with me. Every man carries within him a boy who was told to be strong, to hold back tears, to keep walking even when his knees bled. He was told that mistakes made him weak, that emotions made him soft, that vulnerability would cost him respect. And so, piece by piece, he built armor. The armor became useful. It helped him survive in the world of competition, ambition, and relentless judgment. But in the quiet hours of the night, when no one is watching, that armor becomes heavy. And he secretly longs for one place, one soul, where he can finally set it down. When a woman says, you don't have to be perfect with me, She does not mean she will accept neglect or betrayal or mediocrity. She means, I will not punish your humanity. I will not shame your flaws. I will not measure your worth against an impossible ideal. This sentence is rare because it dissolves the mask. Jung wrote that the persona, the social mask we wear, is necessary, but also dangerous if we confuse it for self. Many men are trapped in their persona, the successful one, the strong one, the funny one. But this sentence cuts through the illusion. It tells him that with you, he can drop the performance. He can stumble, and you will not withdraw your presence. He can speak fears that terrify him, and you will not weaponize them. He can let the boy inside him breathe, and you will not laugh. Do you see the power here? Desire is not only born of admiration, but of sanctuary. A man does not just want the woman who dazzles him. He wants the woman with whom he can collapse without losing dignity. When you say, you don't have to be perfect with me, you are offering him something rarer than beauty, rarer than youth, rarer even than devotion. You are offering him freedom from the performance of masculinity itself. And in that freedom, he will not drift away from you. He will cling to you because you have become the only place he is fully alive. And in the silence after those words, he will fall not into a fantasy, but into truth. The fifth sentence does not shout. It does not seduce in the way the world teaches seduction, with painted lips, with coy glances, with calculated silence. No, this one cuts deeper. It does not live on the surface. It strikes the marrow. It is this: I see the man you are becoming. Those words awaken something ancient. They speak to the archetype Jung called the self, the eternal image of wholeness that every man unconsciously seeks to embody. Every action, every dream, every sacrifice, every battle he fights in the daylight, all of it is a longing to become the man he senses inside, but is not yet fully realized. Most people only see what he is today, his flaws, his failures, his unfinished struggles. They label him by his past, by his paycheck, by his scars. But when a woman says, I see the man you are becoming, she pierces through the noise. She recognizes his process, his journey, his unfolding. She sees not just his shadow, but the light breaking through it. This sentence is irresistible because it does not flatter. It does not stroke ego. It does something far more dangerous. It calls him forward. It makes him want to rise, not for the world, not for duty, but for you. Jung taught that the anima, the feminine image in a man's psyche, is the guide to his inner world. When you speak this way, you are not simply a lover. You become that guide. You become the voice that whispers to him in silence, reminding him that greatness is not yet lost, that his becoming is not yet finished. And in those moments, desire transcends a body. He begins to crave your presence not because of how you look, but because of how you make him feel, expanded, stretched, reborn. You become the mirror in which he sees not his failures, but his destiny. This is why men fall in ways they cannot explain. It is not the curve of the lips nor the softness of the skin. It is a rare alchemy of being seen at a level the world ignores. The one who sees a man he could be is the one he will fight to keep. And so, the final sentence seals the circle. It is not about possession. It is not about control. It is about recognition of the archetype within him and of the feminine mystery within you. Because in the end, desire is not merely fire. It is transformation. And the woman who can speak transformation into his bones becomes unforgettable. And so, the circle closes. 5 sentences, each carrying more than words, each carrying archetypes, shadows, longings, and truths buried deep within the masculine soul. Not commands, not tricks, not cages of manipulation, but keys that unlock the forgotten chambers of his heart. Because when a man falls, truly falls, it is never for the obvious reasons. It is not for beauty that fades, nor charm that shifts like sand, nor performance that tires the spirit. It is for the woman who speaks to what is eternal in him. You see, every man walks with 2 selves, the one the world sees, and the one he secretly longs to become. Most never notice the difference. But when you speak to the becoming, you stir him awake. Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And in love, the privilege of the feminine is to reflect that becoming back to him, without demand, without force, without fear. These 5 senses are not spells. They are thresholds. They invite him to step beyond his defenses, beyond his ego, beyond his shadow, and into a place where desire is not hunger, but reverence. So let the world chase love with noise and masks. You will remain the mystery, the voice that lingers when silence falls, the mirror he cannot turn away from, the flame that does not burn out, because it is not made of fire, but of truth. And remember, when you speak from this place, you are not making him fall for you. You are making him fall into himself. And that is the kind of fall that never ends.